Hey guys, welcome back to Antlered Pursuit. We are here with yet again another hunting story. This one was probably, out of all my hunting stories and all the stories that happened to me in Pennsylvania growing up, this is probably one of my favorite experiences. Not necessarily to myself directly, but it was just the whole the trip or whatever it was that really. It's a good reminder of life and a good reminder of the purpose for hunting and really the background of what hunting is all about. And that's what this story is trying to share. But with that being said, if you guys actually have hunting stories like this and do want to hear more hunting stories like this, I say this in all my episodes, but write down in the description if you like this, or if you want to hear more of this, click that like button. If you want to hear more hunting stories, I love making them. I don't have a lot of them. You know, I'm pretty young, so you got you old timers out there who obviously have more than I do. But I just love sharing them. That's what hunting camp is all about. You're sharing your hunting stories and having a good time. You know, we're out here actually in college, and I actually have some buddies that have some hunting stories. So I can, if you enjoy hunting stories, I can ask them to make some. I can film them with their hunting stories, and as well as speaking of some interesting things that I know as well. So this story takes place in Pennsylvania, in a county lower central, southeastern side of Pennsylvania. I'm not going to say what county it was, but the area that I was hunting was extremely pressured. I mean, there was a lot of pressured, land. You know, we didn't have a lot of public land where I grew up, but the land that was public was pressured extremely. You probably had a couple hundred hunters hunting that area throughout the year, and with maybe 1,000 acres, it definitely puts a toll on the amount of deer and how smart the deer are and stuff like that. And so we were actually hunting an archery season this year, and before I even archery season, I did a lot of scouting, a lot of figuring out what the deer did, and really figuring out patterns for the deer. And that's really important when it comes to deer season. But I figured out these deer a lot, right? And I spent probably 50-60 hours at this location before even hunting season came around, really studying and figuring out where these deer were, so I was prepared to just shoot a deer and get it out before it got too tough, you know, in later seasons. But this one was actually, I was driving home from work the one day, and I was like, you know what, my brother's sitting at home, and I should go ahead and give him a little message and say, hey dude, you want to go out and shoot a deer this afternoon? So I texted my brother. I'm like, hey dude, you want to go shoot a deer or go deer hunting this afternoon? He's like, yeah, I just have my longbow, is that all right? I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. All the shots are going to be within range, and if they're not, we're not going to shoot them within range, right? So here we go, driving home. By the time I get home from work, my brother's already ready to go, and I have all my stuff. I was actually going to go out, but I decided to take him out instead. Took him out, and we're driving to this location. All of a sudden we arrive, get out, and he's actually using a longbow, right? At this time period, this is the first year my brother has gotten his longbow. He just started using it, just started breaking it in, and actually that year he shot a spike buck with that longbow like a week after he bought it, and did a lot of practice, shot at 20 yards away, right at the shoulder. I mean, freaking awesome deer he shot. But so he knows what he's doing with the longbow. He doesn't have a lot of practice, but he has enough practice, right? And it's about a 40-pound longbow. Not sure what kind it is, but we're going to this location to hunt, and it's extremely pressured, bear in mind. And I decided, I know where these deer were bedding, right? And I was actually hoping to catch a deer going to its bedding location, or bedding location to feeding location in the afternoon. So we're actually our goal was to go up in a tree stand that I had planted and hunt these power lines for the evening, because a lot of times the deer will come from the bedding area into that location to feed. So we're walking right now around the bedding area, and as we're walking there, I'm like, tell James, because I knew exactly where these deer were. I've seen them there multiple times, repeatedly times, and I knew that they were going to be in that location again. So I'm like, all right, James, I want you to be careful, because if we see a deer off to our right, there's probably going to be some. If we see a deer off to our right when we're sneaking on this trail in the bedding area, I don't want you to look at them. I want you to see where they're at, but don't make eye contact. And also don't stop, because if you stop, they might all of a sudden get scared and take off. But if you act like you don't see them, it might be a better option, because those deer will stay there and just think you're a normal hiker, right? So that was our plan. We kept on walking, and all of a sudden it comes to that place. I told him that, and sure enough, there was like 2 or 3 deer or whatever it was that popped out. And I'm like, all right, James, keep on walking, keep on walking. Don't look at those deer. We know where they're at. They're just going to keep on walking and keep on paralleling us and watching us, making sure we're out of their way. and not coming after them. And sure enough, that's what those deer were doing. I told him what was going to happen, and it happened. I was kind of stoked because I actually got the chance for him to see some deer. Even if we didn't see anything, we had some opportunities for sights. So as we keep on going, it comes to the next location to where I had previously encountered deer. And this is another bedding area that I saw. We had to actually go through this bedding area to get to our spot. There was no way around it because our scent, because the wind would blow right into where the deer were. But I knew if we were quiet enough, these deer, and there's a lot of hikers, so I knew if we were quiet enough and also not making ourselves too obvious to targeting the deer, they wouldn't run away. So sure enough, we're going over this little ledge thing, over a little hill. I'm like, James, I want you to put an arrow and get an arrow knocked, and I want you to get ready. I want you to walk in front of me, and whenever there's a deer, I want you to lift and pull, and if it's broadside, shoot it almost immediately. There's going to be a deer right over this edge about maybe 10 yards from us. As we're walking, all of a sudden, there's a deer that pops, stands up. He was bedded down. And honestly, it was probably about 5, 6, 7 yards from us. It was extremely close. And James is like, should I shoot it? I'm like, yeah, shoot that thing. He pulls back, and this is spare mind. He has a longbow, 40 pounds. He pulls back, shoots. That arrow, I'm not kidding you, releases from his bow, and the deer, by the time in 6, 7 yards, the deer dropped and ducked that arrow. I know it's a light bow, but it was incredible to see how fast an actual deer was able to drop an arrow that quickly, if that makes sense. From the speed of 21 feet, a deer can drop an arrow. I was just blown away kind of by the fact that they're that fast. Yeah, again, he doesn't have a strong bow, but it was still amazing to me. And he would have hit it right behind the shoulder. I saw exactly where the deer was, and I saw exactly where that arrow went. It blew my mind that a deer was that fast. I'm like, holy crap. So I told him that there was going to be a deer over there, and I told him that there's going to be a deer over here. And that's the part about hunting. If you can really figure out deer patterns, it makes the world of a difference when you're out. It makes you super ecstatic to know and have confidence in yourself, right? So as we go up in the tree stand, and this is an extremely hard place to hunt. By this time this year, I have yet to get a deer, right? I took him out. I don't even remember if I got a deer. I can't remember. I took him out. Bear in mind, this is extremely hard, seriously pressured area to hunt. And we're lucky if we even see a deer. I've hunted this place for years and haven't seen anything, but this is the first year I really figured them out. And we're hunting a little bit longer, maybe up in the tree stand. All of a sudden, this deer pops out. It's originally about 40, 50 yards away, itches and comes closer and comes closer. It comes to about 35 yards, still not shootable, you know? Then it comes to about 30 yards, still not shootable, and then it comes in closer and closer and closer until he's within range of his comfortable distance. He pulls back, you know, here's a video of it. He pulls back, and then he releases, and the deer disappears. And it's getting kind of dusk. We were waiting for that deer to come a little bit closer to us. He shoots, and all of a sudden the deer just drops. I'm like, dude, you just dropped that deer. Holy crap. And the deer didn't go anywhere. I didn't see him or anything. We're like, how the heck did that deer drop? So we're just staring at this deer. All of a sudden we hear movement, and right down where that deer was, I guess apparently he got so scared when my brother shot, the deer saw the arrow or something, and he might have ducked it or whatever. Okay, maybe the arrow was a little bit lower than him. I don't know at that time period, but I know the deer freaked out enough that he got stuck in the bushes that he was feeding from. He had a clear, but the deer was stuck in that zone, and he totally sort of scared that deer to a point to where it got stuck in the bushes. It was just freaking funny. So I was like, dude, you just killed a deer. That's crazy. I saw this and I filmed it. Sort of, not really. The deer got kind of stuck in the bushes, and then I went down there, checked, there was no blood, and the deer took off. So apparently the deer got stuck without a shot, without blood, or without wounded, because I saw what the arrow was, and it wasn't even in him. The deer ran away. It was totally fine. Secondly, at the end of that day then, we saw the biggest buck I've ever seen where I was hunting. I come back to up at the tree stand and told my brother all about it, and we were just sitting there waiting for dusk. Maybe another deer would show out, and all of a sudden, a big 8-point, about 60 yards away, I think that's about how far it was, comes at the top of the ridge, and it was too dark to film at this time, too dark to shoot, but you can see that deer walk out, and we're middle of state game lands, public land, see that deer walk out, and you could see his white horns just shining in the dusk. You know, not shining, but standing out really, really. You know, it's like fluorescent in dawn. You know, you could really see it. And that deer just shine bright. I'm like, oh my goodness, that thing's nice. That is literally the biggest buck. And we try to get that buck come closer just to see it, you know, and sure enough, it never did. But my point of this story is that's what hunting's all about. Having a one-on-one encounter and helping people out shoot a deer. Not just helping people out, but experiencing the outdoors with people. And that's what this whole story is about. I got a chance to experience something and show my brother what I learned and give that to my brother. You know, just like a dad gives that to his son. You know, mom to a daughter, whatever it is. Giving an opportunity to somebody else and presenting them with an opportunity to experience the outdoors from what you've learned or what you haven't learned. That's what hunting is all about, and that's what this story was. And I essentially, that's how cool it is sometimes when you actually can figure out deer to a point to where you know them so much you can have confidence in having somebody else have a good time. And even if you don't see a deer, it's still an awesome time being out there and experiencing what really the outdoors is like, right? And that's the whole point of this story. So hope you guys enjoy it. I know it's kind of a long story, kind of hard to follow, but some people like these things and some people enjoy them. Just like deer camp, you know, that's what you do at deer camp, tell us hunting stories. But if you want to hear more of these guys, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and like this video. Also follow me on Instagram. Send me your Pennsylvania hunting pictures. If you shot any deer in Pennsylvania, I love to see deer coming out of the areas that I grew up in, especially. But until next time, I will see you guys in another episode of Antlered Pursuit. Don't forget to chase your dreams, because that's what life is all about. You know, that's what we're doing out here in Wyoming. I'll see you guys next time.